We'll go ahead and get started. Jeff Kern is my co-host today. He's going to help with any questions you guys have, but feel free to unmute yourself too if you have any questions or need me to stop. So I'm really excited about this. Can everybody see my screen here?
Yeah, what are my co-host duties?
Your co-host duties are to see if there are any chats that I'm missing.
Okay.
And also, if I'm talking too much, stop me so I can explain or if there's any questions. So.
All right, I'd settle you down right now then. That's
Yeah.
enough. All right.
I don't want to talk too much.
Okay.
But can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm really excited about is not only that this is a virtual open house strategy, but you can use this for your buyer's consultations, listing consultations. If you have walkthroughs or meetings, like just getting familiar with Zoom. So we're going to do virtual open houses through Zoom and Facebook, but getting used to using these two platforms, because even past the situation with COVID, this could be a great tool for you in the future. I'm actually considering doing this on top of actual open houses as well. So, and I know Jeff, we kind of talked about that too.
Yeah, and I'd chime in real quick. I learned about join.me 4 or 5 years ago. It is a powerful tool. If you're in a market with relocation, this is a powerful tool to tie somebody to you, to kind of bond with a relocating client. So I just wanted to share that as well. It's not just for COVID. I mean, this is a powerful tool to show somebody a market.
Mm-hmm. You said join.me. Are you talking? So that's different than Zoom.
Yeah, we left that and went to Zoom. But I mean, like I say, about 5 years ago, we were using join.me, but it had a lot of glitches that Zoom doesn't have. But one thing, it did allow you to share your screen. It just didn't have the video capability.
Yeah. So, yeah, Zoom's been great. Join.me is still an option. Be Live is also another option. There's lots of different options out there. Zoom has been great for us. So that's kind of why we're talking about that. And this virtual open house is not just a walkthrough on your phone. So we'll kind of go through the steps there, but this is something more value added than just a simple walkthrough with your phone. So the 3 options really are to personally be there at the property when you're doing the open house. Of course, right now you want to use your best judgment. If you don't have to be there, I wouldn't be. But if you have a vacant home and your seller really wants you to be in that home, use your best judgment on that. Of course, there's markets where this isn't a possibility. So, but that is one option. The other option, hold the open house from your home office using photos that you've previously gotten, or you're getting videos that you've received. Or you can also hold the open house from your office with photos and videos that you're having your sellers take. Has anybody had their sellers take photos or getting ready for a listing, anything like that? We prefer, obviously, professional photographs, but if you can't get that done, has anybody had to have their sellers take photos for them?
I actually did. It was just the seller's choice to do so. I did have a photographer lined up, but they wanted to take their own photos.
Okay. How did they turn out?
Okay. They were okay. The professional photos would have still been much better.
Did you guide them at all as far as like taking the photos?
No, she had done some photography on her own before.
Okay. Yeah, so that's something I think right now we should be prepared for. If our sellers are wanting to take their own photos, having some guidelines for them, maybe getting with a photographer and getting point of views as to how to stage the home, how to get the best lighting, taking landscape version photos instead of portrait photos, things like that, so that you're showcasing the home in the best light. So those are the 3 options for the open house as far as where you're going to be. So preparing for the open house, you want to be sure to promote it in advance. So pick the day and time. For some reason, this is going off on me. Be sure to promote it in advance. So pick the day and time that you want to hold it, whether it's during the week and maybe one day on the weekend. There's lots of agents in our office that do Saturday and Sunday. You can still continue down that path. Jeff Kern and I had talked about doing open houses and like thinking through like, what are people's day-to-days looking right now? If if most of the homes that are going to be viewing this, if they have little kids, think about when their nap times are going to be and the parents are going to have some free time. So try to work around what you think would be the optimal timing for someone to step into your open house for, 15 to 20 minutes and view it online without interruptions. But promote it in advance so they can plan for it. And you're going to promote it through on social media with a description of the home, day and time of the virtual open house, along with the link. If you're boosting this, the more time you give Facebook or Instagram to boost it, the better. The more time they have, the more they can pick out the best people to send this to. Now, we don't always have a lot of time between the listing and when the open house is going to be. So just do what you can, but the more time you have, the better. If you have a week, that's awesome. And then send the information of the open house to your reverse prospecting list along with your sphere and your database. And what I think too would be a great idea with this is to promote that not only is it a virtual open house for your listing, but you can review as a part of your agenda the buying process right now. So answering any questions for any buyers out there and get them in on this open house to view that information and ask questions on that too. Do you have anything to add on that, Jeff? I know you've done a lot of Zoom meetings and best practices. Anything you'd like to add for that part of it?
No, I think that's a good idea. The other thing that I know we talked about is having a lender join you maybe virtually as well. So if any questions come up about the lending process, you've got a lender on board.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and in new construction too. So same with that. Like if you have a new construction listing, having a sales counselor on the meeting with you would be awesome to help answer those questions. Anybody have questions on this slide? All right, we'll move on. Preparing for the open house continued. Let's see, we'll gather all the information you'll be presenting onto your computer in one folder. So this is universal for any appointment that you have on Zoom. If you're doing a listing presentation, an open house, a buyer's consultation, have all the information you need in one folder. That way you're not fumbling through all your folders and trying to find what you're looking for. It just makes it look a lot more professional and a lot more organized. You might even, cancel out any browsers that you have open that you don't need open, because they're going to, if you're sharing your screen, they can see all that. So make it as clean as possible and everything really orderly in one folder. So some things that you're going to want to gather for your open house: photos, obviously, of the home, videos of the home, features and benefits, the BLC or the MLS sheets, and list reports. If you're not familiar with list reports, a lot of lenders here locally, I know it's a national company, so you should have access to it, but it's awesome. What they'll do is a lot of lenders are offering it free to agents, and it'll have information on the community, schools, and like restaurants, golf courses, parks, all of those things. So those are things that you can talk about in your virtual open house. You're going through the photos, going through the home, explaining the features and benefits of every room and feature, but you're also talking about the area and community and really filling out that entire story for the home, so that the people who are listening in, they're getting value from you that they can't easily find on the internet. And that's what you got to think about. Like, what value you're going to bring to them that's not easily something they can find on Google. And those are things, being the expert on that home and area is really going to help you show up as an expert in this open house. Did I miss anything there, Jeff? Anything you'd like to add on that?
No, I don't think so. I just thought of something, and I'm just throwing this out for consideration. Do you do you think the seller should be present to answer questions about the house, or do you think they should not be involved?
I was thinking about that today too. I mean, obviously these are uncharted waters. Like, I don't know the best solution there. I do think, in a typical open house, seller is not there, not present, but on these, they might want to be in on this just to see how things are going, what the interest looks like. But that might be something where I don't know if we would need to disclose that or not. So I'm not sure on that, but we could get clarification. I don't think it hurts to try it out and see,
Okay.
Even if you're promoting it, that, hey, the seller will be on there to help answer questions about the school, or like, what they loved about the home, what they loved about the area. I think that would be a great selling tool.
Yeah.
Might
Diana
depend on the
had
seller
a,
too.
oh, okay. Diana had a question about the length of the virtual open house. I mean, I
Like the
know it's not
timing.
going to be 2 or 3 hours, but what do you think?
I honestly think a half an hour timing, maybe 45 minutes, but keep it short and sweet. And I would, when you're promoting it, have an agenda. So just let them know, hey, I'm going to start with photos of the home. We'll go into, the details of the home site, how big it is, what it backs up to. Then we'll talk a little bit about the area. The last thing we're going to talk about is the buying process. And so set that agenda for them so they know what to expect and follow that agenda, because there's going to be people on there that are expecting you to do that if you put one out there. And then at the end, and I'll cover this here in a little bit too, make sure you let them know that you're available for the next hour for any questions, whether that's on the Zoom meeting or giving them a phone call, because there's going to be some people who don't feel comfortable asking you questions on a public platform like that. So make yourself available for the following hour to call anybody back who has specific questions.
Makes
Good question
sense.
on that. Oh, and a CMA, of course. If you've been through Kyle Gillette's open house workshop, you know he's huge on having all the information on the CMA for the home, what's selling in there, how many homes are available around the area. Knowing all of that too, to be able to answer questions as they come up will be huge. Okay, so here's the actual going live. Here's the actual logistics of doing the open house. And I would definitely do a couple of trial runs and get very familiar with how this all plays out, and make sure that your Facebook and your Zoom are connected so you don't have any glitches before the open house. The last thing you want is to have technical issues before the open house and then can't get on there. Has anybody done this yet? Has anybody held a virtual open house yet? I know Shalisa said she did. And for some reason, I'm not seeing my chat forum. Okay. So make sure you do a couple trial runs and get really familiar. If you want to do a trial run with me for an open house, you can. If you want to do, I'm sure Jeff will be available, find a friend that you can go through this with and just get comfortable with it first before you actually go live. That way, when you go live in front of everybody, you feel more comfortable with the platform. That's going to go a long way. But you can create an event for the open house on Facebook, or this is what I would suggest, go live right from your page through Zoom. So when you're on your Zoom, here's your face will actually be here where my picture is. You want to click these 3 buttons down here where it says more, and click live on Facebook. And when you click that, it'll take you to your Facebook page, and you can select what page you want to go live on. So your video from Zoom will go directly to Facebook. So the reason you want to do that is because you can share your screen. So you can share your photos, videos, the BLC sheet, all of those things on Zoom, and you can see your face just like we're doing now. I've played with the live from Facebook, and you don't have that ability to do that on Facebook. Once you share your screen on Facebook, it's difficult to come back to your face. And so a big part of this is for people to get to know you as well as information on the home. So Zoom, and there's another platform called Be Live, it's BE Live, that offers a similar platform, and you can share your screen along with your video at the same time. And that goes on Facebook Live just like you were doing it right from there. So I would strongly recommend doing it from your computer on Zoom versus just a walkthrough of the home, because you're not going to hit all the points that you really wanted to share with everybody if you're doing that. Yeah, hit the live button on your Facebook page when you're ready to begin. So once you hit that live button, you're going live. It's not, it's not something you can go back and edit. So, and that's okay. The more candid, the better. Just go with it, encourage people to ask questions and to stop you. And, just have that agenda that you can fall back on so you can hit all the bullet points that you want, and you have a smooth process throughout it. So And it's going to be so much more valuable to do this than, since you can go through like all the features and benefits of the home. Okay. So I would start by introducing yourself in the actual, so say you've gone live, start by introducing yourself and a little bit about the home and what you'll be covering. Review the material you've prepared. And as you go through the photos, be sure to point out benefits to the viewer. So as you're stepping into the kitchen, don't just say, yeah, it's got staggered cabinets, a kitchen island, and granite countertops. Tell them why that's important to them or what's different about that home than other homes. That way they're getting like the actual benefit to them versus just what they can already see in the photo. Would you agree, Jeff?
Yeah, I would agree. The feature benefit selling is good.
And to help you with that, like be prepared a little bit as you prepare for your open house. Go through the main rooms and even talk with your seller. Like, what did you love about this room, or what do you think that will sell this house, and like different aspects of the house, like that they would feel is a huge benefit to people and why. So that way you have those bullet points to cover with the people who are joining you. And just like I said, if they're looking through the pictures, they can see it's a kitchen. You don't need to tell them that. Tell them why it's important, or like what features about it are important or different. Review the home site, community, and area as well. So don't forget those. It's not just about the interior of the home. Make sure you cover all aspects of the home, the livability, the amenities around there. If they've had, a lot of growth in the area, or if the school district's great, make sure to point out all of those things. Offer to get the viewers info and answer any questions on a personal call or meeting afterwards. So make yourself available, like we were talking about, because there are a number of people who they don't want to ask questions on there. Either they don't want to look silly, or they don't want to put their interest out there in a public forum. But this is a great way to get connected with people too. All right, so that's kind of it on the actual logistics of it. Does anyone have questions on anything regarding the open house? Is anybody planning an open house?
Diana has a question. Could an agent hold a VOH for another agent like we do in an in-person open house prior to COVID? I would say yes. Just reach out to any Highgarden Easy Street agent, and with the seller's permission, we could do this.
I think so too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you might have more opportunities doing this too. It's not as time intensive, but just, I would get all the information you possibly can. That way you can answer questions along the way. If you have questions come up, you're going to need to know quite a bit about that house, because when you're holding an open house for another agent, a lot of times if someone comes through, like they can just walk through, ask a few questions, and you have the BLC sheet there. Here, you're really presenting a lot of information about that home, so you're going to want to know a lot about it. Great question, though. I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
I have a
Yeah,
Sorry.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Hey there. Thank you so much for hosting this, by the way. This is super helpful.
Yeah.
My question, obviously I haven't done one yet. So when you're presenting the information and you've got the MLS sheet and maybe you've got the seller's property disclosure and the photos and the video, how are you overlaying that? Like, are you a voiceover at that point and you're showing it on your screen? Or, because I'm thinking, like the video I just did for a client of mine for a virtual tour, the video that I sent them was almost 7 minutes long. So I don't, like, what am I doing while the 7-minute video is playing for the open house?
Right. So it's a lot like what I just did with that PowerPoint. So they're going to see a video of you and what you're sharing on your screen. So that's a great point with the videos. If you were to do a video, I would keep it very short, like very short, maybe 30 seconds, because you're not talking in that. And the more time you give people, that people don't have the attention span to sit there and watch a long video unless it's sent directly to them and they can watch it at their convenience. So during this time, I mean, if you have video, it would have to be very short, I would think.
Okay, that makes sense.
Have you completed one of these, Robin?
I haven't, but I will be. And I'm excited about it. I think it's a great tool to brand ourselves. and to stand out in future listings, to let them know, hey, even when things got tough, you know, we're out here doing everything that we can. And so I'll definitely be doing these in the future as I get listings, even when this isn't necessary, I'll be doing these.
How soon are you going to be doing one?
You know, I have a listing going live May 1st. So that first week.
Okay, I was
I'll be
just
happy to let you know.
you could record it or something, give us an example of how you flow through it. I would love to be
Absolutely.
able to see one.
Yeah, and that's the benefit too, because when you host it on Zoom, if you record it and post it on Facebook, that stays there for people to reference later. So it goes on their Facebook like a post so that people can reference it later. They didn't have to attend it right then. So that's even a better part of doing this through Zoom and posting it on Facebook, because I think it was Shalisa who said that she had a virtual open house. She only had 2 people in the actual open house, but she had 100 viewers later go back and see that video.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Great question. Anybody else?
Do
Lisa
you-
had a question. Oh, so go ahead.
Do you advertise it with the link, or do you have them request a link to get access to the open house?
Great question. Because right now privacy is a big issue, especially with Zoom. They're saying, you know, there's a lot of people hopping onto these Zoom meetings that aren't necessarily for them. So I would use your best judgment on that. Me personally, I would post it with the Zoom link. The easier you can make it on people, the better. So I would make it without a password and just have the link into the invitation or my post. So that way it makes it really easier for people to just hop on there. Yeah. What was Shalise? She said she had a question.
Oh, Lisa had a question about how are you promoting it? Zoom invites or advertising on Facebook?
Great question. So I would post it on Facebook with the day and time, create like a little graphic like we always do, or like a really good picture of the home. Make sure the day and time is very clear on there, and the link of the Zoom meeting. I'm also sending that to a reverse prospecting list. So all the agents who currently have buyers looking for a home like that, if you need help with a reverse prospecting, I can help you with that. That's been huge for me, even with regular open houses. And then I'm also sending that to my database. And the message to my database is that if you have questions about the buying process, feel free to join in on this virtual open house, because I'll be covering that in there as well.
Yeah, so I think that might be helpful. We've got a little time if you kind of walk through how you're obtaining the information and who to send that to. So can you kind of show us how you would promote the open house? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I kind of know what you're saying, like through like the Facebook posts and stuff like that.
Yes. So how you would promote this?
So here's an example right here of a post that I would put on there. So you have the address here, it's a virtual open house, the day and the time, and in the caption, I would put the link that they join, and I would just say, click here. For reverse prospecting, you know, that's different for everybody's system. So you would have to look through your system on like information on how to get that. But essentially it's a list of all agents who currently have homes being sent to buyers that match your listings criteria. And I've gotten great feedback on sending that, but I also send a reason why your buyers should come through. I don't just say, hey, this home's having an open house at this time, but why they should come through. And I let them know, I will let you know if your clients come through the open house. And I would do the same here. The thing is that through here in Indy, if I have a buyer set up to get homes listed for sale in Fishers with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, they might get a notification that my listing came up, but they don't get a notification that there's an open house. So I'll be that notification for them. I'm going to let them know about that.
And we can also schedule these in my board.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, obviously. Yeah,
or whatever board you use, so we can schedule it there if people are looking for open houses.
Yeah, and I believe in ours too, so like everyone's different, but I believe on ours, you can have a link in the listing for anything. You could do it for a virtual tour or a website. Here you could put your Zoom meeting link.
I think so. You just got to be careful how it's branded.
Yeah. What's MyBoard? So MyBoard is the Indianapolis version of it's the MLS for Indianapolis. So every market is going to have a different system that you use, which is going to give you different options on how to market this.
So just really quick, Jeff, you had mentioned something about branding it. Is there any reason that we wouldn't be able to Highgarden brand it or put our name on it? If
Yeah, you could Highgarden brand it. The thing that I was talking about, and Robin and I were having a little inside baseball here in Indy. Certain things that we post in our Metropolitan Board of Realtors, if they've got our logo or the company information on there, they won't let us do that here locally. So we've got to keep it very generic when we're kind of promoting things inside our system. But I don't know how that is in other markets. That's all I
even
was
through
talking
the
about.
MLS directly, you can't.
Through our
Yeah.
version of the MLS. But if you're doing this on Facebook, absolutely. I mean, Robin's the chief on that, but I think you want as much branding as you can get.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even
I
for
got a
open
nod
houses.
yes on that one.
Yeah, heck yeah. Like, I mean, even in open houses, if you're holding another open house for another agent, like you still want everything branded to you. I take their open house signs out of the yard. I take their listing flyers out of the house, and I'm putting my own stuff in there. I'm not doing that open house for free. I am branding myself, and my information is going out to everybody who comes into that open house. And so you want to do the same with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that's this is so cool because like, just like with all the other markets, I get to see you guys on email a lot, but I don't get to see faces. And so it's so cool to get to know you all on another level through this. And that's going to be the same thing in these open houses. You get to be face to face and have conversations with people you wouldn't have otherwise had that opportunity for. So this is going to be really cool. And I would even encourage you to go out to builders and offer to do virtual open houses for specs. For sale by owners. Do as much as you can to market yourself in this, because you're going to be seen as the expert in marketing and real estate as you have people going to your Facebook page or wherever you're posting this, and they're going to want to work with whoever's going to be hustling out there and doing everything they can. So this is a huge opportunity.
Robin, did I just hear you say when you do an open house, you take the sign out of the yard? What did you just say about taking the sign out of the yard?
Listing sign, not their listing,
Okay.
open house signs. I never want, I cringe when I see an agent hold an open house for another agent and they're taking that listing agent's open house signs and using them. Have your own signs with
Okay.
your information on them.
Gotcha.
You're doing this for you. Don't brand the other agent. You want to do this for you. So I will take their listing or their house sign, not their listing sign, out of the yard. I will if it's, I mean, if it's a stake sign and I have one that's better, like I can put in there, I might do that but put it back when you're done.
Yeah.
Robin, I would say you should probably stop talking about this subject at this point here.
Okay.
Yeah, you're confessing something.
No, there's nothing wrong with
teasing.
that. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact,
No, I'm
I would
kidding.
encourage, if anybody held my open houses, please do that. Like, and take
Promote
all the
yourself.
traffic, promote it, do everything you can to get clients through that, because that's why you're doing it. Otherwise, you're doing it for free. Nobody wants to work for free. So
Can I revisit, and I don't know why this is sticking in my head, the opportunity to bring the seller into this. That connection, you know how, like if we're representing a buyer, we'll have that buyer write a letter as to what is appealing about this house and how they want this house. I'm seeing this also as an opportunity to have the seller talk about this as a home, you know, how the kitchen is warm, how they had the family come over, and how people lived in the house. That, I mean, normally we would not want a seller in touch with a buyer, but virtually like this, I think there's an opportunity there.
That's such a good point. It's depends on the seller.
I
For
don't know
most
how we
sellers,
get,
yes.
trying to figure out how to do it, but to just take a house and turn it into a home.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, have you ever had, if you guys have ever had like, there's times where before inspection, a buyer needs to come. It just happened to me not that long ago. I had a seller, the buyer had to come in and do a walkthrough real fast with their family. So my seller let them, but the seller stayed there. They're like, yeah, you can come in, but I'm going to be here. That was like the best thing for that transaction because they actually got to know each other a little bit. Now that's not going to work all the time, but I do see some benefit to that, Jeff. They actually see like who was living there, what they really thought, maybe even why they're moving. But you might need to coach that seller to not give away anything that's going to be leverage within that.
Yeah, I'd guide them through it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be asking them questions. Obviously, we're not going to talk about details, but like, I don't know. I just want to put more of a personal touch. Oh, we've got a question. How am I getting the attendees' contact information? It looks like we would get participants from multiple platforms. That's a great question.
So on Zoom, there's a chat where they can, you see the chat at the bottom, like you're chatting here, it says to everyone. They can click that and send it to someone individually. So if they send you their information individually, or just be sure to give them your information too, so they can contact you and say, hey, I'm open within the hour, just call me. But I would prefer them to give you their information here in the chat, and they can do that in a private message. So you have to coach them through that.
Okay.
Great question on that. Yeah, Lisa?
Okay, so maybe this is, I just need to try to get this visual in my head. So I'm on my computer. I've got my folder with all my information open. I'm going to show that through Zoom, but I'm going to talk through Facebook Live.
Yeah, so the
So I
platform
can
is
have
going
both
to,
open on my computer at the same time.
yeah, so you have Facebook and Zoom open at the same time, but you're going to basically use Zoom, but Zoom is integrating your meeting on Facebook for you. So you really just need to connect the two. I'll go back to that slide real fast.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get the steps.
So here, when you go on to create your meeting in Zoom,
Oh, that's right. Okay.
there's that button down here that says more. If you don't have this, it's in your settings.
Okay.
And you hit live on Facebook. When you do that, it'll take you to your Facebook page and it'll ask you to select which Facebook page you want to post on. So if you have a personal and a business, you can choose one or the other. I would do your business if you have it. And then it will ask you to go live within Facebook. You click the button in Facebook to actually go live, but you just go right back to yours. It'll show you your Zoom screen. So it's like you're doing a Zoom meeting, but it's syndicating to Facebook for you.
Okay. So the link that they're going to see is the link to the Zoom.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
But viewers can see it on Facebook. They can actually watch the meeting on Facebook too. And they can comment questions, things like that. So afterwards, you'll want to go back and make sure to answer any questions that you had through that. And then make sure to publish it as a post so that people can reference it later.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And how did you say that you can practice almost? You said like you and Jeff could have gone back and forth. How do you do that practice session without it actually going live on your Facebook?
There's actually, so I didn't do this as a test with Jeff. We've done a lot of Zoom meetings to get familiar with Zoom itself, but you'll want to go in here and actually act like you're going to go live on Facebook and set that up, because there's an initial setup in the beginning. And then once you get in there, it'll say do a test run. And so do the test run, see how that's going to look, and make sure you're comfortable with all of that. But it took me, when I was doing this as a trial run for myself, it took me a good 10 to 15 minutes just to get everything set up and feeling comfortable with it. So I would give yourself quite a bit of time to do that, so that way you're not like in crunch time right before the open house trying to figure this all out. I would do it a couple days in advance. but there's a test run button in Facebook to do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great
Okay.
questions, you
Yeah.
guys.
Hello again.
Yeah.
So then the part where you said at the end, you're going to talk them through the buying process. Are you just giving an update on how it's working with the market the way it is currently as far as the
Yeah. Yeah,
closing?
and that's a great
Yeah.
point too. You might even need a reference, hey, like as of today, whatever day we're hosting this meeting, this is the way things are going. Just like I had a buyer text me earlier, hey, I need to look at this house. Like, how's that working now? Like, okay, well, if you're really serious about this house, drive through first, make sure you like the house. We're going to need a pre-approval in hand, whatever it is you're requiring to show homes, then that's what you're going to like, this is how it's going to work. And I'm still here to help you negotiate, get through the inspection process, all of those things, but it's going to be a little bit different right now because of these things. So like go through what it is that you would advise a buyer right now, what that process looks like. Because there's a lot of questions out there. There's some people that think that they can't see houses at all. In some markets you can't, but just talking through that process and how you can help them, or maybe even have a buyer's consultation. Maybe you can't look at houses right now, but you could at least have that buyer's consultation to set up what it is that you're looking for. I can set you up on a search right now. We can get you set up with a lender right now to know your buying power. We can go through all of those steps. So when things get back to normal, we're good to go. Any other questions? I love all these. This is good. Jeff, you have anything to add?
No, this is great. Maybe we should probably practice one of these live.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, you can just walk around your house and give us an open house.
I'm not walking around my house.
Oh.
We could
try mine. We could try mine, but the dogs won't be quiet. There's no chance.
We
My
could
dogs are pretty loud.
do an open house within our Facebook group so we could all see it and see what it looks like. We could definitely do that. We have a question. How do you bring a lender in on this? So you would basically give them the link to the Zoom meeting, and when they hop in, there's a little button up at the top where it says mute, and then there's 3 dots. You click that and you can make them a co-host. What that does is it gives them the ability to mute people if there's like dogs barking in the background or anything. It also gives them the ability to share their screen, and then they show up at the top as well. So I think that's a great idea to have a lender in on these to help answer questions. You could even promote that too. Then you can talk about, and we're going to talk about interest rates and what lenders are seeing right now. Like that's a huge value for people in the market right now. All right.
I'm sorry, can you just say that one more time? So on the Zoom meeting, they go on the link and then where do they go?
Once they get on the link, so they're in the meeting, there's at the top right of the square that they're in, there's a mute button or 3 dots. You click the 3 dots and make them a co-host.
I see. Okay, thank you.
And as you get in Zoom, a lot of you are hopping on into these meetings, so you're not seeing the hosting side. When you create them, there's a difference between a meeting and a webinar. You want the meeting. So the meeting, you can see all of your pretty faces. In a webinar, not all of that's turned off. It's basically a presentation and nobody asks questions unless it's in a chat form. So if you want to see everybody's faces, you want to do a meeting. If you want to just do a presentation where you're going through things and you can answer things in the chat, that's a webinar. I believe that's a premium version too. That's the other thing. In a free version of Zoom, you have 40 minutes and then it will cut you off. So I would do a 30-minute time frame. Jeff, you've been hosting a lot of Zoom meetings. Any like words of advice on how to host these?
Stay sober. Or try to stay sober. I mean, 90% of mine, I'm sober.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Good percentage.
It's good.
I will say,
really
meeting has
being,
been-
you know, I think if you're going to do, and this is what got me thinking about getting the seller and a lender involved in this. Get as many voices in these as you can. Because I think you don't want it to sound like a lecture where you're just talking for 30 minutes. If you've got different voices in this and you're doing a little bit, what we found, I think, in like, except for Chip, which is, I think he's the exception to the rule, very few people can hold that much attention for an hour. But if you get different voices and you have different parts of this, then I think that's going to be more entertaining. So I think just keep it interesting, and you're right on that. Give people value. I mean, you bring a lender in this to talk about that. You bring the seller into, maybe that's a little peek behind the curtain of the house. So, you know, just figure out ways to bring value to this, so that people will stay tuned.
Yeah.
Plus have a goal. I mean, what is the point of this? You know, you're not wanting to just walk through somebody's house. What's the goal of the meeting?
Right.
And I would assume it's to generate a buyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've found this meeting's actually been different. You guys have been amazing at asking questions and staying engaged. A lot of the meetings, there's not a whole lot of conversation. So Jeff's right. The more people you have in there talking, it actually encourages more conversation, but it keeps it interesting too. So don't expect a ton of questions. Like, it just probably, you might get a few, but you're not going to have a whole lot. The real magic's going to be on those one-on-one calls afterwards.
Yeah, and Diana has a question. I think this is a great question. What was it, Diana? A virtual open house for sale by owner? Now there's a unique idea.
Yeah, so there's agents out there who will hold open houses for sale by owners as a way to show their worth or to generate buyers even. And they typically do it for free. But I mean, that's up to you, I guess, but that's typically the route that they go. They do it for free to generate that value for sale by owner, for that seller. But also, if that for sale by owner decides to switch to an agent, guess who they're going to lean towards? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this has been so great, guys. Thank you so much for all the questions and being so engaged and getting out there. You guys are, you know, still willing to learn and like do the things that set us apart. So congrats to you guys. Awesome. And if you do a virtual open house and you need some love or some people in there asking questions and keeping it interesting, let me know. We'll be in there. So, all right.
Oh, salt it up a little bit, huh? Have a little.
Yeah.
You're going to get on there and drool over the kitchen counters and all that. You
Only ask
sneaky.
Jeff to be in on it if you don't plan for him to be sober.
Yeah, it's a roll of the. Usually before noon, I'm all right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, keep us posted. If you hold one, let us know how it goes. And if you find any like tips along the way, let us know, because we all need to learn from each other in this. So, all right, guys. Have a good day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.